Thank you for staying with us. Let's quickly get into the papers now. We're joined by the Executive Director of Solidaire Ghana, Benjamin Asuman. He joins us for the news review. But right before we get to Mr. Asuman, the news review on the AM show is brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. We're offering free prostate screening and free female fertility screening. And you can locate us in Accra, Spintex opposite Shell signboard, Kumasi and Kronum Abuehia behind the Angel Educational Complex, in Takrade at Anaje Estate, in Tema Community 22, Techiman, Hansua and Esiama in Zama. Also call us on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But it's only the beginning, actually, of the news review. Mr. Asuman, a very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Mr. Akakpo.
It's a pleasure. You can call me Ben.
I hear.
So quite a lot has been happening, and today we'll be interacting with Education Minister, Dr. Yawase Educhum. But I just wanted to find out from you, especially because of the organization you work for, on the back of the drowning of those 8 children, their only crime being that they were trying to get educated. On the back of our Schools of Shame documentary, which actually is still airing, bringing out different dynamics to the shortage of equipment, desks, among others, from Pandai to other parts of the country. And also in very recent times, the school placement saga, where parents are paying between 8 and 20,000 Ghana cedis. Do you have any quick reflections on this and what the Education Ministry ought to be doing?
Thank you, my brother, and good morning to our viewers. The problem in these 3 cases, I blame it on lack of supervision. You'll find out that with the drowning of the kids, life jackets could have been provided for these kids every morning that they are crossing to school and when they are coming back. And not more, and the district assembly could have ensured that they have collected, these life jackets when the students have arrived, back from school and all that, and give it back to them the next morning. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because our local assembly system has been denied the effective supervision that is required. On paper, these assemblies are supposed to be proactive. They must be there for the people, but unfortunately, it's not done, and that's critical. That is a problem. It doesn't have to be the responsibility of Joy FM to expose schools in dilapidated buildings and in dangerous settings before the Minister of Education will come tell us that he's a proactive minister. No, you are rather being reactionary. You are reacting to a report by JoyNews, for which reason you are now sending desks and
even when we put it out there, we got words of chastisement instead of words of encouragement. I don't know whether you saw the clip where the education minister was rather taking us on for doing him a service.
Yeah, I did. That you are prophets of doom, and you are reporting the negatives instead of reporting the positives. But the minister himself, is on record to be complaining about the standards of education, the quality of education that we're offering and all that. And yet he doesn't want the media house to highlight the challenges we have in the system. It's unfortunate, but here we are. He has come 360 round the clock and he's now reacting to what has happened. We need, as a country, to be serious in dealing with our education. We cannot be seen to be providing free senior high school to our youth, whilst our children in before puberty cannot get decent classroom to sit, cannot get furniture in schools. If the young man has not gotten furniture in school, how does he even be given free education in the secondary school level?
Right.
Once he's in class 4 and class 5, class 6, GHS1, he's sitting on stones or bricks, in order to study. That is not good enough for us as a country, and we must concentrate on the most important aspect. That's why Solidaire Ghana, together with Ghana Africa Education Watch and others, we canvass that we must first of all look at strengthening our basic school system, strengthening it, ensuring that every child of school-going age is in school and is being given the quality of education he needs before the government begins to think about what to do in the secondary school level or what to do in the tertiary school level.
Right.
If the fundamentals, if the foundation of the kid is good, then you are confident that the child will be ready to progress and exhibit the skills and talent that God has provided him, and the kind of discipline that he also gets from the basic school level. But if the basic school level, they're struggling, they are living in dilapidated buildings, and there's no furniture, and Joy FM has to produce a documentary on it before the minister reacts, then what is it then the use to provide free SHS? When the children are not even getting, a furniture in school at the basic level, that is not right. We are putting the.
So we're focusing on secondary matters. There's the basic or primary. There's the secondary and tertiary, and of course, what happens in the basic will impact them even as far as their tertiary education. Sometimes I try not to reveal these things, but in the educational spectrum, I've taught a few times, and in this international school, one of the top-notch ones, if not the most, the best in the country. When I was there taking one of their co-curricular clubs, and I compared them, trust me, children as little as 12, 13, 14 back then, I could peg them on many levels to some university students I knew in many areas. And it made me sad. Their exposure, the language, the oratory, written, spoken, compared to some people in university, and we keep, just repeating this vicious cycle, and it seems we're not getting anywhere. But just to chip in, we also had, on the back of what you're saying, Child Rights International, Brighter Pia, among others, take on government, sue government, so to speak, on the fact that we have children who should be in school who line our streets, the street, yes, urchins begging and all of that instead of being in school. If those Nigerians and others, we are not going to absorb them, let's send them back to their country. And those that are Ghanaian, what are they doing on the streets?
As the issue is, if you do not prepare the child from the basic to know that I have a future in the secondary school level, I have a skill to and I'm good at science, I'm good at mathematics and all that from the basic level. If you do not do that, and rather you allow the students to live in such poor conditions and provide a free education at the secondary school level, what you have done is you have put the cart before the horse. By the time the student gets to struggle to get to the secondary school level, that student will not come out to the secondary school level to be productive to the economy. The purpose of providing free SHS should be that we are providing education so that the output will be that quality materials, human resource materials for the country, where they will exhibit their talent, they will begin to invent, they will begin to create opportunities, create businesses, and all that. If we are not going to ensure that the skills right from the beginning are harnessed, are shown, the potentials are there, and sharpened up going forward, but rather you provide an opportunity at the top whilst the child cannot access it, then what use it? For what use are the kids on the street who are not going to school? When you provide free SHS, what is the use? That's why we will have a lot of students who will come out of this free senior high school system who will not be of use to the country as the country had envisaged, because we have put the cart before the horse.
Interesting points you make there. Well, let's quickly get into the papers. The Daily Graphic was what we'll start with. 4,000 Burkinabes flee to Ghana over terrorist attacks. It's interesting because I was running a program for the Burkinabes just this last weekend. Very interesting. And some of the Burkinabes waiting for the distribution of relief items are pictured there. I'll get into that story. There's also CSO's demand transparency in gold for oil program, and traffic management, the banner headline, traffic management contract dispute, $55 million judgment debt dismissed. There's also NHIA reviews prices for services and medication, and there is PAC refers two regulators for prosecution. Well, let's get into those stories now, and I'll start with the main one. The Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, the Netherlands, has dismissed a $55 million judgment debt against Ghana, which was being sought by a Chinese company over a traffic management project. The disputed project, the Accra Intelligent Traffic Management Systems, was signed between the government of Ghana and Beijing Everyway Traffic and Lighting Technical Company Limited, simply known as Everyway Tech, in 2012. Under the contract, Everyway Tech was supposed to install new traffic signal systems in Accra, improve the existing systems, and reduce traffic congestion in the capital city through a coordinated traffic signal system. In 2022, Everyway Tech dragged Ghana to the PCA with a case that the government of Ghana had cancelled the contract and unlawfully expropriated its investment in the country in violation of the China-Ghana Bilateral Investment Treaty. Among other things, the claimant sought damages of $55 million from the government of Ghana for the money it had expended on the ATMs before the alleged abrogation and unlawful expropriation. But in a unanimous decision last Monday, a three-member panel of the PCA dismissed Everyway Tech's claim on the basis that the tribunal had no jurisdiction over the legality of the alleged expropriation of the company's investment by the government of Ghana. To conclude, it was the considered view of the arbitral tribunal that although the China-Ghana BIT allowed investor-state arbitrations to settle disputes, such arbitrations did not include the issue of legality of expropriation. And so we've got our necks out of what could have been a very dicey situation, $55 million judgment debt. Looking at our economic situation, this would have been damning for us. Thank God we made it out of that. We scraped through. But let's go to page 16 and take a look at that story there. There is 4,000 Burkinabes flee to Ghana over terrorist attacks, and more than 4,000 Burkinabes and some Ghanaians have fled to seek refuge in Ghana following attacks by suspected terrorists and militants in Burkina Faso. The refugees, mostly women and children, have fled from trouble spots in Burkina Faso, namely Bugri, Zuga, and Asongo, to seek asylum in the Boku West district in the Upper East region. They are currently living in communities such as Adasiga, Sogo, Agogo, Kperigu, and Kpeksuzi in the Sogo electoral area, while others are residing in areas such as Natinga, Gogo, Wari, Kanlesi, and Fulbis in the Widnaba electoral area. More than 1,000 of the refugees are living in the Sogo electoral area. My only concern here has to do with the situation in Boku, already a bit unstable, and with these people, these foreigners and nationals of Ghana also going to that place. I'm just hoping that it will not, this surge in the population will not lead to any further instability there. Maybe to wrap, PAC refers two regulators for prosecution, and the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has referred the managements of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Ghana Maritime Authority to the Office of the Attorney General for prosecution. They are to be arraigned for engaging in procurement breaches. While the Auditor General's report found the GPHA culpable for engaging in procurement without the approval of the Public Procurement Authority to the tune of 6.3 million Ghana cedis when it purchased vehicles that included a Toyota Land Cruiser and a Toyota Camry, the GMA allegedly used the price quotation method for procuring goods with contract values that exceeded the threshold for price quotation. So three stories I've taken a look at for now. The $55 million judgment debt that we have swerved, 4,000 Burkinabes in Ghana, specifically in Boku South, and we also have PAC referring two regulators for prosecution. Quick thoughts, Mr. Asuman?
Ben, the 55 million judgment debt, we have not yet gotten out of the woods. There's a second case on this by this same Chinese company in the British courts against Ghana. And what Ghana won yesterday was a technical knockout, kind of, because it was the forum where the Chinese have chosen to sue that was challenged. That the forum was not the right forum.
It was a technicality, and the arbitral tribunal actually made mention of that.
Exactly. So the substantive case, the substantive issue will have to be addressed. if you look at the argument that was put by the respondent, that is Ghana. Ghana's claim was that the Chinese should have sued in Ghana for settlement. So it doesn't mean that Ghana is exonerated. Where government decide to terminate contracts that had a 3-year, 4-year, 6-year lifespan prior to the termination, it's a problem, especially when we cannot find clauses within the agreement against the contractor, here the Chinese. So that issue is just being put at the back burner, but it's still very much alive, and we must watch it. On the matter of the Burkinabes coming in as refugees, look, ECOWAS, as we sit today, has decided to suspend the membership of Burkina Faso. So the president of Ghana is refusing to deal with the military junta in Burkina Faso. Take it or leave it, the military is in charge of Burkina Faso. The earlier the presidency decide to engage and provide intelligence in order to
would that not, the stance, for example, of some of these Western countries, engaging them also suggests in a way in international relations that you're giving them some credibility, and
yes,
you want to avoid that. You cannot disengage from them totally, but engaging them on certain levels implies subtly lending them support, don't you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with the diplomatic consequences a bit. But you see, here we have about 40,000 coming in of refugees. And these refugees are now on our land. They pose security threat to the Republic of Ghana. We don't know the kind of ammunition or content of the bags and the mattresses and all that they are carrying to this country. It will even pose a health risk to our people of Boko and its environs, depending upon the number of ailments that they may be carrying along and all that. All these issues will come to play and have effect on Ghana. So it is in Ghana's interest to engage the military junta of Burkina Faso and provide some amount of intelligence. Look, it is Ghana that will bear the brunt. These people are leaving their villages and their towns and settling on our land. We, at the end of the day, may even have to provide some amount of food and shelter to them. We cannot allow them to just be at the vagaries of the weather somewhere in the Upper East and forget about it. It will not happen. The continuation of the crisis in Burkina Faso will continue to have repelling effect on Ghana. And then the need for the government of Ghana to take serious action towards engaging the military junta of Burkina Faso and even providing them intelligence support when necessary will be in our own interest. The earlier we do it, the better. On the matter of I would like to skip the PAC one and rather concentrate on the CSO's demand for transparency in the Good for Oil program. Because I belong to the CSO.
I was about to get into that story next, but since you want to go there, let me just do it then.
Please.
So the Alliance of Civil Society Organizations working on extractives, anti-corruption, and good governance has called for full disclosure on the Gold for Oil program by the government. According to the group, such a disclosure would help inform the public on the matter, alleging that there were many unanswered questions on the deal that needed responses from the government. At a press conference in Accra yesterday, the co-chairman of the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Manteau, said its analysis of the program had revealed some corruption risk issues which could only be averted through transparency and accountability. The other thing I want us to look at, we were told this oil was coming from the United Arab Emirates. From our own sources, we heard it was actually coming from Russia. And then it was corroborated by Bright Simmons and some posts about, I've forgotten the name of the entity, Russian entity. It starts with LI, thereabouts. So what is your take on this? What are the dangers inherent in this deal?
Ben, taking leave from the first comments on the commentary we're making about the 4,000 Burkinabes coming to Ghana and the diplomatic consequences you're looking at. This Gold for Oil deal, if we don't take care, will give us a bigger diplomatic problem than engaging the Burkinabe military junta. Look, Russia is currently under heavy Western sanctions, and the sanctions go to the extent of trying to do away with Russian oil. The government of Ghana in the UN Assembly has decided to side with the Western world against Russia, leading to Russia's embassy in Ghana issuing statements and all that against the government of Ghana. And here we are, government announces a gold for oil deal and had sent a delegation of ministers and technocrats to Dubai, hoping to get it from the Middle East. In the final analysis, we are now being told, government is now admitting that we actually got our first, barrels of oil from Russia and not from the Middle East, as had earlier.
And some of us had picked up the information long before then. We were just waiting for when they would actually come clean with the people of Ghana.
Here we are, after admitting it. Just yesterday, the Ministry of Energy, through the Deputy Minister, is further admitting that indeed there was no gold used in the transaction. However, government of Ghana paid cash. Right. Man, cash. Now, because we want to avoid using the SWIFT system of payment, which would have attracted, or to have been detected by the, international, inspectors. We decided to use cash in the transaction so that there's no bank transfer, there's no SWIFT system being used.
And even there are inhibitions now on Russia in their jurisdiction in terms of using the SWIFT and other payment systems in the first place.
Exactly.
It's part of the sanctions that have been imposed on them.
Exactly, because we cannot use it. And when we try to use it to even give it to a company that's supposed to be an Indian company that may have behind the scenes be owned by the Russians, it would have been detected at the end of the day, and Ghana would have been embarrassed. So we decided to use cash. This program, as Nicodemously being arranged as it is, stands to damage the reputation of Ghana if we do not take care. If Ghana continues the way that we are approaching this, without government opening up, without coming to parliament to answer questions, without letting the contract be what it is, an international contract. And our laws say that all international contracts must be presented to parliament for discussion and approval. Yet the government is refusing to table this one for discussion and for approval in parliament. That itself is a breach of the law. But besides that, there are consequences that the country stands to face. Look, Ben, we're told that with this gold to oil deal, prices of fuel in this country will reduce.
The prices are going up. The prices are going up. It's gone up by about almost two cedis 50 pesos, 3 cedis thereabouts. Yesterday I bought fuel, so I know.
Yes, but the pump station, we're looking at 6%. Here we are. The purpose of this engagement, the purpose of this transaction has not been realized. The purpose was.
But to be fair, shouldn't we give them a little time? This is the first, cargo. Shouldn't we give them a little time to stabilize the system? We're told that the impact would just be about 20% of what we would ordinarily use. So shouldn't we, to be fair, give them a little more time?
If our laws are being breached, and it's been breached that after it has been breached, prices of fuel will be lowered, and therefore Ghanaians will enjoy. Then Ghanaians can look the other way and said, okay, let the law be breached by not going to parliament, by not being transparent, by not being honest with the fact. However, let the prices of fuel at the pump station be lowered. Right. If we are not getting the price of fuel at the pump station to be lowered, and yet you have not satisfied yourself by being transparent and all that, according to our laws, then that is not correct.
Okay. Let's quickly get into a few stories in the next 3 minutes and wrap the conversation. The Ghanaian Times newspaper, SNIT Auditor General in tango over $17.5 million STC loan. And the Social Security and National Insurance Trust and Auditor General are in disagreement over a $17.5 million loan guaranteed for the Intercity State Transport Company. While the AG contends the trust, an 80% shareholder in the transport company, guaranteed the facility given by the Agricultural Development Bank, the trust said it did not approve any such loan. And this would be one of many instances of such happenings. But President inaugurates 300-bed accommodation for young soldiers at 37 Military Hospital, and that happened yesterday. The facility, funded by the Jospon Group of companies, would address the accommodation needs of the Ghana Armed Forces and help its personnel undertake their duties effectively. The Daily Guide newspaper, I just want to take a crack at this. Adai Nimo joins NPP flag bearer race. I'm sure you followed, and he has the support of Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, a founder of the NPP. And maybe finally, to wrap up the conversation, DDEP, Domestic Debt Exchange Program, will hold government to its promise to exempt all pension funds. That's according to organized labor. And that is what they are saying. They are saying they will hold government to its promise. In fact, they have reiterated their position on the exemption of pension funds from the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, and they say it is final and remains unchanged. There's also EcoBank Group wins coveted award. Pictured there, my own senior friend, Ade Ayeyemi, CEO, EcoBank Group. Which one are you going? Which you can pick and choose, maybe two of them to wrap. The DDEP and what organized labor is saying, Adai Nimo and the flag bearership race of the NPP, the 300-bed facility at the 37 hospital, and the SNIT tango with the STC. We have 2 minutes. Hello, Mr. Suman. Oh, it would appear we have momentarily lost Mr. Suman. We'll try to see whether we can reconnect with him so we can wrap up properly. But those are the stories making the headlines in the papers. There's also woman, 2 children burned to death at Ibuakwa. And you may have followed, that's in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. You may have followed, we brought you snippets of that in our news yesterday. Mr. Suman, welcome back. I don't know whether you got all of the items I mentioned, but you can wrap with any two. You can touch on the DDEP and the call by organized labor. And Adai Nimo joins flag bearership race with the MPP. Any quick thoughts?
Adai Nimo is welcome. He thinks he has what it takes to rule this country. He's welcome. We're a democratic country and he's good. The MPP will go.
Do you think otherwise?
For their super delegate conference. It doesn't lie in my mouth, but I don't think so. I think
you don't think he's the right fit to lead Ghana. You don't think so?
Oh, I think that he's a good material, but as to whether the delegates of the MPP will accept him is another matter altogether. Because they will go for the super delegates conference where they will select 5 out of now they have about 8 or 10 or 9. So they will select 5 out of the 8 or 9, and then the 5 will go run campaign. But I think that they already have a presumptive candidate, I think. Now, with regards to the DD, today government is supposed to announce the latest package for bondholders, individual bondholders, institutional bondholders, the financial institutions, and pension funds. And
sorry to pressure you. In some 40 seconds, we should go. So just encapsulate your comments in that time.
All right. I hope that the Minister of Finance will table a final paper which will be acceptable to all, and we will not have to repeat another announcement, because the back and forth since December, it doesn't speak well of the party.
I think the point is made from Mr. Suman. Back and forth since December till now, the extensions, all the pendulating action is not boding well, even for our IMF program. But thank you so much, Mr. Suman, for joining the conversation. Executive Director of Solidaire Ghana, Benjamin Suman, has been our guest, and of course, the news review coming to an end. Sports is up next, and we have a lot that we're going to be shooting your way. I saw a tweet by Abedi Ayu Pele talking about that surprise to come up in respect of his first, no, not the first son, but Andre Dede Ayu. Look forward to that. The news review on the AM show is brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. We're offering free prostate and screening and free female fertility screening as well. Locate us in Accra Spintex opposite a Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronum Abuehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex in Takrade, Anaji Estates in Tema Community 22, in Techiman Hansua and Siama in Zema. Call us on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Sports up next. Do stay.